I'm Cynthia Cutting. I'm director at the Museum of the White Mountains, and very, very pleased to be presenting this event this evening, gathering everybody together as best as we can to celebrate this amazing year and this amazing exhibition that these students have put together. It is, you know, every year I get just, my jaw drops. I get so amazed at the level of proficiency, the creativity, and always some surprises, and I just love it. So first of all, a hearty congratulations to you all. Job well done, and just really great to see it. So nice work. Yay. And it's great because tonight is our kind of celebration and kind of informal introduction of the exhibition. And for those who can't come into the building, we're going to be showing a video shortly, and then we'll be scrolling through the work, and each student will be able to talk about their work just a little bit tonight, just to kind of tease you, because next week in the art talk, which is on Tuesday, right, Rebecca? Tuesday. That is when students will have longer time to talk about their journey and the full, all of their products that they have, all their artwork. So tonight is a hint, but we do encourage you to add questions and comments into the chat as we go through, so that you can share your appreciation of their work and also give them something to chat about. So we'll be going through that in just a minute. So first on the agenda is first thank my staff at the museum for supporting this exhibition. It's always a team effort. And Rebecca and Mike have done a lot of the behind the scenes work to help this happen. We also have Merlin Desir, who is our social media person this year, our McLean Fellow, who's here this evening. Thank you, Merlin, for all your work. She's been busy making some content that's going to be popping up as the exhibition continues. And we have a wonderful graphic designer, Teresa Lynn, who has been working on the logo and the flyers for this exhibition. And we have our student videographer, Steve Wentworth, has created the video that we're going to launch this evening with. Ivy Pertola was also there to support students as they were putting their exhibits together last week. It always takes just a lot of people being in different places to figure out how the work can go up and what's going to work for everybody. So it's always a real challenge, this exhibition, because students have been working hard on their particular, their works and their whole body of all these different ideas. And we all have great dreams for how they're going to be highlighted in this exhibition. And then when it comes to bring it into one space together, there's a sense of figuring it out, like what can we, how do we share the space? How do we make an experience? And how do we edit and select the works that we most want to share? And again, I'm just really, really in not really amazement, because I knew you all would do this, but I just appreciate the way that you've really distilled down your experience and presented it. It's just fantastic, and you'll all be seeing that. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we're going to show the video that Steve Wentworth has made for the exhibit. So the idea of this video is to give us all a taste of what we're going to be seeing artist by artist, but get you a feeling of being in the space, because this is the piece that we're all missing, is not being able to walk through this space together tonight. So our best approximation of that experience is a video walkthrough, which Steve has created for us. So now I will proceed to mess up the technology, but I'm going to try really hard to do this right. Okay. Oh, okay, hang on, already goofed. Okay, back, sorry. Damn it. Why is it not doing it? Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I was trying to click full screen and the thing wasn't doing. So what I'll do at the end is as we exit, I'll have that playing on full screen. I'll try it again so you can see. But that link is on the main page for the exhibition, so you'll be able to watch that. I hope you were able to get a taste of what it feels like in the gallery right now. It is pretty awesome, full of color and excitement. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to try and will not fail this time to share my screen and get back to the website, and we're going to scroll through the artist's work. We're going to be doing this in alphabetical order by degree. We have 3 different art degrees represented here. And then in each of those degree areas, the alphabetical by student's last name. And that's how we'll go. Again, as we're going, if you can add your question or comment in the chat, especially questions in the chat as we go, then Rebecca is going to pose those questions to the students in order as we're going. So the idea is that student is talking, then we have a question from the audience, and then we move to that next student. Each student will have about 2 minutes. So everybody cross your fingers. To my thing. Where is my Google? Nope. Back. Shoot. Okay, so first up is Spencer. Spencer, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Spencer Cook. I am, I guess, technically a 5th year senior, even though it's been kind of like 6, something like that. I chose to do urban skis as my company. I felt like it kind of brought the 2 things that I enjoy most in life, the 2 things that bring me the most freedom, painting and skiing, and basically just designing in general brings that all together. And I chose this poster right here to display that because it is a digital painting that I did, and it's also a photo of me doing this off of this feature. And I just thought that it would tie my exhibition together perfectly. I wanted my whole company to reflect that, and hopefully when you see the whole show, you'll see that.
Great. Do we have any questions for Spencer? I love the color, Spencer, in your whole area and in what we call the mountain studio there. It's just so lively, and the brick background is really cool. This piece in particular, I really love the color and the sense of movement, that idea that you have for these skis moving through these city streets, and which is such a different experience in the snow, but you've captured that really well here. I feel like we're definitely moving. It's very neat.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have a question for you, Spencer from Pine. Do you ever mix painting and graphic design or graphic work?
Well, I think that that's what I was trying to do with this whole company, actually, because a lot of like my ski designs are based off of my paintings. And also like this poster is a digital painting. So like, I mean, you could zoom in to like each pixel and it's taken care of. There's a lot of detail that went into this. So I just wanted to combine the two.
Cool.
Great. Thank you. Okay. All right, Brianna, you are up.
My name is Brianna. I'm a senior graphic design. My company that I chose to do was a bakery called Just a Sprinkle, and I decided to do a adult side and a children's side. And the adult side is more like photography and neutral colors, and then the kids side is more like shapes and bright, fun colors that kind of remind you of like a kid and how they would draw, I guess. But yeah.
As people are thinking of a question for Brianna, Brianna, I love how you've mixed the idea of the product for sale and the experience of having baking classes in your business.
Thank you.
Do you want to say more about the family kind of piece of your idea?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, your mom was the inspiration. It was one of the inspirations.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have a question from Merlin. Are you going to make this an actual business? Which I think is the thought everybody has when they visit, the graphic design.
I try and get my mom to start her bakery business, but I don't know. Hopefully.
It's such a great idea. And this is one of the ones I wish we had smell-o-vision. I would like to have the smell of cakes and things like that. Excellent. Nice job. Thank you. All right. And Nathan, you are up. Oops.
Hi, I'm Nathan, a senior graphic design major. Sorry if you heard the ding. I decided to make a whiskey company. I just decided that since I enjoy drinking whiskey, that I'd like to create my own brand and just see what I could do. I've decided to go with like a couple different flavors of whiskey, so each bottle has its own sort of design to it, and the middle one is just your regular bourbon, and then this image on the right, it's apple flavored. I kind of wanted to go for like a more dark sort of feeling, so that's why I went with the snake and the apple, sort of like the Garden of Eden, where the snake gives Eve an apple. And then the B is just for honey. Thought that it was just a easy connection for people to make.
Yeah, I really liked the dark colors that are emphasizing the dark side to your story that you've got here, using your titling, kind of the that dark experience. Very cool.
All right, another question from Pine. Is this intended for Christians or just referencing it?
Just sort of referencing it. I mean, I didn't want it to be religious in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, thank you. This is great. All of these, this is Nathan is the last of our 3 graphic designers, and our graphic designers have many different materials that you can view on the website. Oops. And in the space, of course. Thank you, Nathan. Okay. Now we're going to move into the BFA multimedia students. And first up is Callie. Callie, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Callie. I am a BFA multimedia soon to be graduate. The art that I make is basically a configuration of real elements that don't typically go together. I want to show the viewer something that has always been there but has kind of gone unnoticed. I try to do this by taking these recognizable things and combining them together to make these contradicting combinations that you wouldn't really see.
That's great. Do you want to talk about your pink table experience?
I guess my idea here was that you typically are sitting at a table and sometimes you feel the gum underneath the table. So I kind of took that idea and said, what if the gum was on top of the table? How does that make you feel that that's what you're eating off of?
So fun. I really enjoy the sense of surprise and the sense of humor in your work. Appreciate it. Have a question for Callie from anybody tonight?
Question from Nick. What do you look for in humor?
I don't understand that question, I guess.
So I guess maybe what is it, just like your well, actually he's following up, one line joke, or kind of maybe do you like try to find things that you find funny, or you talk about your sense of humor?
I feel like I feel like a lot of my stuff is I just think of these things and they end up being humorous. Like, I don't know if it derives from like other people, what I personally think is funny. I guess it does kind of derive from there, but I don't directly say like I don't know. When I'm thinking of something, I don't directly think like, okay, this is going to be funny. How can I make this funny? They always end up like that.
That's great.
Allie?
Thank you. Oh. Cursor on back.
Someone asked what the material of the gum is made of. It's actually 1,000 pieces of real gum.
Ooh.
All right, authentic.
Was it gum that you had chewed, or?
I started chewing the gum and I chewed about 10 pieces before my jaw couldn't handle it anymore. And then I ended up just like boiling it and melting it down.
Smart.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. All right. Pine, you are up.
Hello, my name is Pine Hakopian, and I am a woodworker. My body of thesis work has been focused on PTSD and cultural displacement and how those kind of affect the inflicted person. And each piece of my body of work has been an aspect or story from those experiences. And this piece in particular that is pictured is about the physical space in which the violence and subsequent PTSD took place in.
So this one is called The Forest. Is that right, Pine?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. I love the physicality of this, of your work. Are they meant to be, are they worn, or because the size, it's hard to understand the size of them. How big are these? Can you share with the audience?
So this one is a little under 4 inches tall. It fits right in the palm of your hand. This is the smallest one. The others get a little bigger, 6 or 7 inches long, but they do maintain that kind of wearable look. And they're all on kind of necklace length ties, which is meant to imply that wearable quality to them. Yeah.
Question from Maria for you. Did you interview people for their stories?
Yes and no. So most of them are based on my own experiences with these things. And then I pulled a couple from my siblings and other family members. So kind of interviewed, but only with my immediate family members.
Great. Awesome.
It's wonderful work. And they're hinged, right, Pine? Did they open and close?
Yeah, all of them have hinging aspect with doors that close.
Awesome. Kind of had a follow-up question from Sarah. How do you position yourself in relation to the idea of woodworking and craft?
Well, I don't really agree in the separation of craft and art in the first place. It has a lot of racist roots and a lot of gatekeeping roots. So I call it craft all the time. I just think the more I use it and am still presenting myself as a fine artist, then maybe I can eventually break down the incomplete barrier between the two.
Wonderful. It's really interesting. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you, Pine. All right, next up is Andrew.
Hey everyone, how are you? I'm Andrew Heath. I'm a multimedia artist. Most of my work tends to be 3D, and I like to use multiple materials to best express what I'm trying to do, which is I'm trying to make socially critical artwork that asks the viewer to think a little bit deeper about, their social relationships and the world that they're placed in. I'm really interested in trying to engage a conversation where I feel there's often sort of flat narrative that's being asked of them. I'm trying to push that a little bit more. While in my work, I don't necessarily hide my views on the topics that I like to talk about, I really use it as a means of pushing discussion and really hope viewers can pull away something, some sort of political or social interest of their own from the work. For example, so this piece right here, I have a projector going, so I use multimedia, I use video, audio, and physical objects, playing a 1974 commercial about a bath product that its tagline is nothing sexier, or it's nothing sexier than a baby that grows up very sexy. It was kind of a bizarre commercial that I centered around to talk about sexuality, children, and the media.
Great. Andrew, can you talk about, I know it's a deliberate part of your installation to have the wires and plugs kind of visible and right there. Can you talk about your intention with that?
Yeah, thank you I'm glad you asked that. In most of my work, I tend to pull away from polished looks and ultra clean looks. It's more of a general belief I have that artwork has become too sterile and too clean, and I like the torn down, raw look of my work. I feel like it speaks to the severity or the realness of the topics that I choose to talk about. It doesn't clean over them.
Excellent. Do we have another question for Andrew?
Kind of just a general one about our artist statements, but it doesn't. Just some nice comments for Andrew.
And this is Maria. I was just wondering, because we don't have the advantage of seeing any artist statements, if Andrew had provided a bit of a backstory or explanation of his installations in the actual show.
Was that a question of it's in the show? I have a general artist statement about what I make as a whole, but I don't go into too much detail about any specific piece. I tend to I'm trying to like hit a nerve with a couple of the pieces, and I'd rather not guide that discussion for you.
That's a great answer, Andrew. Yeah, I feel like your work, people, yeah, have a reaction when they see it. So it's really powerful. From Sarah, Andrew, where do you see your work going from here?
You know, I'd love to make my work more accessible, either being shown in public places or being seen digitally. The more, you know, in a sense, I view my work kind of like an editorial cartoon, and the way an editorial cartoon can move easily from space to space. I'm really interested in the topics that I'm talking about maybe more than the physical piece, and if I can get those to move quicker into you know, the sites of people that'd like to look at it, that'd be fantastic. And that being said, I wouldn't turn my nose up against a museum show either, possibly.
Nice.
Thanks, Andrew.
I was in the gallery this week, Andrew, and what I really liked was not only the visual, but the sound that you had with your work, because it caught my attention. It made me stop and go back and look and listen. And I think that was really strong. Good work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I I like the mixing of the of an audio component to work, and oh, I'm so sorry. I look like I'm in a witness protection program. I see that being constantly an increasing growth of where art's going in the mixing of media, including video and audio. There's a Van Gogh piece coming up in Boston that's, you know, moving, and it's a huge thing. So I think technology being brought in is going to be massive, you know.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. Okay. And now we are moving into the studio art group. And first up, we have Gwen. Gwen, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Gwen. I'm a painter. Definitely oil is what I love most. This is my most recent work that I've been working on. It's the largest one this semester. And I used a different process, which was very interesting to explore that, because I'm so used to working a specific way that it was fun to step out of the box. And I also love just how gross this is. So that's another thing. But yeah.
Awesome. Gwen, I know from some of your other pieces, you've worked from life or from photographs of things. So what was your process with this piece?
So somebody on social media actually posted a picture of this deer that they found in the woods. And I just messaged them. I was like, hey, can I paint this? And they let me. They actually gave me an even better photo than before. So I was like, great, that's exactly what I need. With this, I played a lot with like dripping and splattering paint. I actually did a smaller scale deer where I drew out the deer and painted like the object right there. But with this one, I played around with a different technique of using color and then trying to find the deer through the color instead of just painting the deer. And so there's little glimpses of the underpainting in all that bloody mess, which is interesting because usually I like coat on the paint, but for this one I like picked and choose what I worked on. And yeah, it was a lot more fun. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got it done.
Yeah, I was so stressed. I was messaging you. I was like, oh no, it's like, can I get an extension? And then all of a sudden one day I just figured out my painting right then and there, and a huge weight was just off my shoulders. I ended up getting it in right on the deadline, which is great.
Yeah, it's so fantastic. It's great. Bravo. Any questions for Gwen?
Yeah, it looks like you had kind of answered the questions that we have in the chat.
So I do have a question though. With your background, Gwen, was that in the photo or is that something you created? Because it's that pastel-y background is such a contrast to the deer.
So the reference photo was a deer on snow, but I really like color, so I tried to incorporate as much color as possible. In certain areas, though, I did have to tone it down a bit because it was getting a little bit too distracting. But yeah, a lot of those colors they just came from my mind, but it does mimic the photo of it being on snow.
Definitely.
Great. Thank you, Gwen. Okay. Next up is Ursula. Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Ursula. I'm primarily a printmaker, and last semester I focused in on monotype printing, and then I kind of got a little sick of that, but I moved on to chalk pastels just to like dabble in color. And this one's my biggest piece. It's like, I think it's around like 9 feet tall, and he's a beast.
I love the scale, and I love what you say about the scale in your artist statement too. It's great. Were you surprised at where his foot ended up?
I didn't even know if my rhino was really gonna fit on the wall. And so I was working under a metal pipe, so I had to do my best, but I'm honestly really happy with it because it looks like it's like walking out of the wall, which is really like what I was going for.
Totally works.
Yeah. That's cool. A question from Pine. What motivated you to work at this scale?
So I started doing really small portraits and they weren't enough for me. And so then I started with around like a 5-foot raven. And then I moved on to the heron, which is like 9 feet tall as well. And after doing the raven, like everything seemed so small, which is weird because like five feet's like really big. But like in my head, I was like, I have to do bigger. I have to do bigger. And so then I moved on to the 9-foot heron. And then after I did the 9-foot heron, which is skinnier, I figured I needed to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I got a little carried away because I didn't anticipate this rhino to be as big as it was. But like once I started going and all the pieces fit together, it just ended up being so huge. And honestly, I don't even know how I pushed through it because it was definitely like a long 3-week process just to get this thing going.
Yeah.
Like great.
Some really nice comments in the chat.
Oh, great. And awesome. Thank you. Okay. And Issa, you are up.
Hi everyone, I am Issa. I'm a senior printmaker. However, this semester and last, I've been focusing more on working with felt. My thesis has been about my own personal relationship with the outdoor world. I grew up in New Hampshire and I love being outside, so that inspires my art making practice a lot. And one of the things that I got really interested in recently was maps in general. I really like topographic maps. I think they're so like just super beautiful and really interesting. So I applied that to felt, which was a material that I had never worked with. And I found it really interesting. So I experimented with that. And it's unfortunate that we're online because this is felt on canvas. So it sticks out probably an inch or two away from the canvas, which is really interesting. And it creates some really interesting shadows with the canvas. So the gray part that you can see is painted and then the rest is felt.
Yeah, so these are like layered, is that right, Issa?
Yeah, they're all stacked and glued.
Yeah, that's what I like. And I do think we should have like a side view, right? So you can kind of see that dimension, right?
Yeah, they stick out a lot. They end up sticking out probably like an inch or two off of the canvas, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I really like it because you're like building the geology, you know, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, I thank you. And then the blue part goes down. So the lightest blue is the highest up. So it descends that way as well.
Very cool.
Question from the chat. What got you started on topography specifically?
I am a really tactile person. That's why I was drawn to felt. My family has been big map people for a long time. My grandmother is a surveyor, so we always had maps in our house, kind of all kinds. And I just think topographic maps in general, the physical ones and the linear ones are really interesting and they're really beautiful. And it applied to felt really well.
They're really cool. Awesome.
Would you prefer, if it were possible, would you like people to be able to touch your work?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, it's felt. It's not going to degrade or anything. I'd love if people could touch it. If you guys, if any by, definitely feel free to do that.
Yeah, we could put a please touch on it.
Yeah, now that I know that, I might try it next time I'm there. That's cool.
Definitely.
Kind of follow-up question. Are these of a particular location?
Yes and no. I mean, it is pretty abstract. This is based on the Kinsman Mountain Range. So the pond is supposed to be Kinsman Pond, and then kind of coming up and over like that, which is a significant spot in my life. That's where my family lives and kind of where our family got started in the North Country. That being said, it's pretty abstract.
Yep. That's great. Thank you, Issa. All right, and here we have Cassie. Cassie, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Cassie. I'm a studio art major. My work is a lot about humanity's relationships in nature. So specifically, I like to highlight the positive and negative relationships. So if you've seen much of the exhibit, you'll know I have digital art as well as paintings. And the digital art series is all about my houseplant, Wesley. And the painted works are all on the wildfires in California. So I wanted to paint abstract representations of smoke coming up from California. And yeah, that's what these two were about.
It's great. I really love the colors that you found in the smoke and the way that you've, you know, flattened it down to get those layers of color and the design there. It's really enticing. So you have like an environmental message underneath your work, maybe?
Yeah, so like I said, it's sort of like exploring the representations, the representation of how we affect the nature around us. So for the smoke paintings, it's all about, you know, like this is what we're doing, like this is how we're treating our environment. And sort of, it's like, I want people to look at it and think, oh, that's really pretty. And then, you know, read about it and understand that it's not what it's supposed to be about, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Nice. Any questions for Cassie?
Yeah, but wonderful comments again.
Really great. I'm glad you included the screen with the slideshow of your other images, Cassie. That was a great idea.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. Awesome.
Question for Cassie. Do you approach digital versus traditional paint differently?
A lot differently, I think. For the digital pieces, well, for everything I work from a photograph, but for the digital pieces, it's a lot more exploration, I think, because I always go into it with an idea and then I change it like entirely all the way through. But for the paintings, for the most part, it's generally one idea.
Awesome. Another question. This person loves the variation in color. What motivated the variation and the abstraction?
Actually, I couldn't really tell you. I have, in the past, I worked a lot with trying to make it look sort of cartoony but real, if that makes any sense. Like I, didn't have as much of a linear idea with painting, but sort of like this whole year has just been me kind of taking my digital art and my traditional art and kind of like mashing it all into one thing. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I've had so much enjoyment out of sort of doing like more abstract acrylic paintings. So that's pretty cool.
That's great.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cassie. So we can take a couple more questions from anyone. If there are, we could do a couple more minutes. I just wanted to point out that on the website, when you get through, you can see many more images of each student's work. You'll see their artist statement is there and their bio. It tells you a little bit about them. And you'll be able to see the video of the gallery, and there's also some gallery shots of the whole group of works at the beginning. I'm just scrolling up to that to show you where that is. So there's a lot more material. We knew that we wouldn't be able to go through every image this evening because the idea was to keep it manageable as far as time tonight, but here are the gallery shots. You can see still shots of the gallery on the website. So are there other questions for our wonderful student artists?
I'm so proud of everybody. Seriously.
Me too.
I can get emotional over it, but I love you all.
You guys have a lot to be proud of. You did awesome. This is a fantastic exhibit. Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. Thank you, artists, for showing up, being here, sharing your work. Excellent job. So brave. Big round of applause from all of our virtual attendees. Fantastic work. We're so proud of you. Fantastic. Thank you.
Great job, everybody. Excellent.
Great job, everyone.
Yes,
am in the witness
amazing work,
protection.
everyone.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yay. Such good. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. We hope to see you at the Art Talk, and take care, be safe, and come to the museum if you can. Those of you with PSU IDs can get in.